on behalf of the Peterson Literary Fund and BCU Foundation, in recognition of his compassion and global leadership, his support for the documentation and investigation of Russian war crimes, his commitment to rebuilding Ukraine, and his determined sense of purpose in conveying the resilience of the Ukrainian people to a global audience, the Peterson Literary Fund 2025 Journey for Truth Award is presented to philanthropist Howard G. Buffett. It's my pleasure to have on stage this evening's guest moderator, a wonderful Emmy Award-nominated journalist who still calls Toronto his hometown, the longtime anchor on MSNBC, recently rebranded MS Now, where he anchors The Velshi Show. To guide this evening's conversation with our distinguished honoree, Howard Buffett, please welcome journalist, author, Ali Velshi.
Thank you. Thank you, Lisa. In the United States, it was universally agreed upon that Russia is an aggressor and that we should stand with Ukraine. What's going on in the United States? What's happening?
Well, I have to go back to 2022 because it's a mistake not to remember where this started and what was going on. Because what happens is 4 years later, the narrative changes, the mood changes, the focus changes, and you have to remember Russia invaded a sovereign country, okay? So you have to go back to the beginning and say, when people say there's a peace agreement, there's no peace agreement. It's capitulation. It's a surrender. If you are going to look at this peace agreement, you have to go back and say, how did we get here? And the way we got there is Biden's administration kept saying, we're going to stand with Ukraine as long as they need us. That was the wrong narrative. The narrative should have been, we are going to help Ukraine defeat Russia, period. And what Biden's administration did, they were giving Ukraine enough to fight and die and not enough to fight and win. And that is not a strategy. And they were failing to, it might be the biggest mistake that anybody made in the Biden administration, bar maybe some of the military decisions. But I had an A1 draft notice when I was in high school for Vietnam. They signed the armistice the year I graduated. I didn't have to go to Vietnam. And I watched Desert Storm in Iraq and Afghanistan. There has never been a conflict in the United States that the President of the United States did not go on TV, addressing the nation nationally, and say, this is why this matters. If we don't engage in this war, if we don't help Ukraine defend themselves against an aggressor, this is the consequences to the United States, to our people. It is a great value for the United States to spend tax money defending Ukraine. That story has never been told. And even against all the backdrop of the propaganda that Russia just pushes in their pipeline in the United States, people in the United States still support Ukraine. We have a few people who are lost on the subject that are making decisions, but the people of the United States support Ukraine. They understand freedom. So when I looked at this and I realized that, just to use one example, we need F-16s. Oh, no, you don't. We need F-16. Oh, no, you don't. And it's like, has the United States ever fought in a conflict without establishing air superiority? No, of course not. In the Gulf War, we flew over 100,000 sorties over 5 weeks, dropped 88,000 tons of bombs before a single individual artillery, armory unit, anything went forward. We abandoned Ukraine in 2022, in my opinion, in terms of military tactics and strategy and hardware. Yes, of course we helped them. And of course they're still fighting the day because we helped them. There's no question about that. But we still didn't do what we should have done. And we're still not doing what we should have done. When you have a property manager that's negotiating with a war criminal, and he thinks the war criminal's not a bad guy, where do you think you end up? I mean, that does not lead you to an agreement that people can take seriously. That does not lead to peace. And it goes way beyond that, because it's a waste of time to negotiate with Putin. My dad always told me you can't make a good deal with a bad guy. Putin puts the bad guy terminology off the charts, okay? He's a killer, he's a murderer, he's a criminal. So it goes way beyond that. When you think about what Putin has said, he has said, I'm going to commit genocide against Ukraine. I'm going to destroy Ukraine, the Ukrainian people, the culture, the history. They will not exist. And then he continues to say the other day, until every Ukrainian soldier is off of the territory that they want, the war will not end. You can pick 100 things that he has said. Believe the guy, okay? He did invade Georgia. He did invade Crimea. He did do things in Syria that were crimes against humanity and war crimes.
But there's no reason to think that he's bluffing.
He's not bluffing. This is who he is. This is who he is. So he has no interest in doing anything other than taking Ukraine. And the idea that we can negotiate with this guy means that you're smoking dope. I mean, I don't know what you're doing, but you're doing something, because he isn't going to negotiate.
One of the things that's not surprising to me, having grown up with Ukrainians in Canada and understanding what the history of Ukrainians in Canada, particularly those who came over to farm, who, you know, when it was tough to get people to farm in cold weather, the Ukrainians were like, this is not a problem for us. Like, as you said, going to Nebraska. But given all the places you've been, there's a common thread, and that is resilience. The resilience of the people as you try and work with them to build their capacity. Talk to me about that with Ukraine.
I have a lot of good friends there. Some of them are fighting on the front line. Some of them are moving agricultural equipment around. So they're doing different things. And people are getting tired today. They are getting tired, but they'll never give up. But the resiliency is something that I almost really can't say I've seen anywhere else the way it is in Ukraine. You know, one night I got into Kyiv at 2 a.m. from Kharkiv, and I got a police escort to go out and take pictures of where the shelling was. And we were driving for an hour, and the police car stops. He comes back. He says, we're going to go to the subway. It's 465 Shea drones that night and 18 missiles. So I went in, and I'm in this subway, and you've got dogs and cats and grandmas and babies, and you've got everything. And I'm looking at hundreds of people. Some have tents, some have chairs, some brought a mattress. And at 6 o'clock or whatever it is, they're going to get up, go out of that subway, go to a job, go to school, go to whatever it is they're doing. How the hell do you live like that? And of course, that's part of Putin's strategy. I'm going to wear them out. But almost anybody else in the world, I believe, would have given up by now. They're not giving up. And so resiliency is the key to this. And I have met people and listened to their story, and I think, how do you do this? How do you get through this? But they just are not going to quit. And it's very simple. The formula is very simple. If someone comes to you and say, I'm going to take your house away, I'm going to take your kid away, I'm going to take your freedom away, you say, the hell you are. And that's what Ukraine is. So you have to dumb it down sometimes for people, right? I mean, you're not going to give up. I've been free all my life. You think I'm going to subject myself to some terrorist that says that they're going to take my freedom away? That's why Ukraine has a resiliency that I don't think you've seen almost anywhere else in the world, because they're living it right now.
When the war ends, I would like my second combine ride with you in Ukraine.
I can do that.
I think you
can. I can do that, yeah.
Let's do that, my friend.
We can't have you go away without a token gift from us. We have a large Ukrainian Canadian community, and we like our culture to be connected with others. So the Royal Canadian Mint annually puts out a silver $20 coin modeled on a Ukrainian Easter egg. They are collector's items. One of you has the queen, the other has the king on the flip side. And we...
Oh, yeah, okay, you get it.
Howard, don't mock it. The older the coin, the more valuable, so you never know. I hope it stays a symbol of the belief in eternal life and the goodness of mankind. And I thank both of you for a fabulous conversation. I love you both.